I'm a small creator and I'm facing a dilemma. Should I continue? Is it worth it? What's the point? This video is something I have been thinking about for years now and is very different from what I normally do. I'm not going to try to tell you how to grow your channel as quickly as possible or how to optimize for the algorithm. Instead, this is really meant for those of you who have put your heart and soul into your channel and maybe it hasn't grown on YouTube as much as you hoped it would. I don't have a script. I just have some bullet points and I want to speak to you as directly as I can and hopefully be of some encouragement. Basically, I've come to accept that my channel is never going to get very big. My music won't be heard by a lot of people. And nowadays, it's just plain difficult to get people's attention. Yet deep down, I know that I'm a creative person, driven to make art and music and all my other crazy hobbies and interests, and I want to share that with people. In the same way, I really enjoy and am inspired by watching other people do great creative things. I see the intrinsic value of creating that thing, the process, the experience. But then I find myself having to suppress expectations of having that actually reach the audience that would appreciate it. So I find myself trapped in this psychology of a creation high and then a validation low or lack of validation. So it's easy to feel invisible in this world of competing content, some of which is very good, but some of which is just AI generated slop that doesn't take a whole lot of effort. I want to give you a bit of my personal history, what led me here, some of the good things that happened, some of the bad things, some of the things that frustrate probably all of us, and to point out really that YouTube measures the success of a video in a way that benefits YouTube, not you or I. So it's really not healthy for us to use the same yardstick. But I've come up with a framework or a set of guidelines that I think will let us measure success in a sustainable way so that we can keep creating from that place of passion regardless of how much our channel grows. Although this is in the context of YouTube, I think this framework can really apply to any social media platform. So let's get into it. So this journey probably goes back to when I was in college, when I first started gigging out and playing in front of people. I was studying electrical engineering and sound recording technology. And so it was an exciting time because I was also composing music for the band I was in, the Freelance Bishops. And so the experience of playing music in front of people and getting that reaction, it was just very exciting. And at the same time, of course, I was studying electrical engineering, and so the idea of being able to create circuitry and design amplifiers and things that would sound good, that would go into some type of audio product, that was very, very interesting to me. So I ended up getting a job doing exactly that. And all the while I was continuing to play with the Freelance Bishops. We did some regional and even some national touring. And so I got a good taste of what it would take to be full-time as a musician. And honestly, the touring life is a hard life. And it's not really something that's compatible with working full-time as an electrical engineer. So I didn't want to give up my engineering because I did enjoy that as well. So I had to kind of scale things back and really just play mostly around New England, Boston area, that sort of thing. Fast forward a few years and I started to realize that running my own band even was maybe not quite the right path for me. Trying to get gigs, to schedule rehearsals, to record albums in kind of the traditional way, it just became increasingly difficult. And so I I became a little bit disillusioned with that. Then fast forward to around 2016 when I discovered YouTube, which I was late to the game, I would say. But when I started watching some of these channels, these small creators, I couldn't believe the passion they had and the way they would grow their audience, and I could follow them along the way. It could be on any subject, on any topic. You could find someone that was really passionate about it. That was really eye-opening. Then when the pandemic hit, all my gigs went away, and I thought, well, I need some kind of creative outlet, so why not try YouTube? Maybe I can start making videos. So that's what I did. I started off pretty modestly. I used my iPhone. I recorded myself playing piano or whatever, some collaborations. I also did my first real restoration video, and I found it to be very, very enjoyable and rewarding to be able to see that people also enjoyed it. And I kind of kept on exploring different formats, different topics. In the meantime, I noticed that the channels that were growing, we're sticking to one topic, we're sticking to kind of a theme. And so I kind of realized, well, I'm not going to be on that kind of growth trajectory that other channels might enjoy. And I made a conscious decision. And as gigging started to come back, I just thought, well, I'm going to keep YouTube going, and it's not a full-time thing. So I should do it as I have time and keep that same spirit of exploration going. So I was writing tons of music. I was completing projects, and I was just generally being very productive. It really felt great. Pre-pandemic, I always felt like my creative energy was somewhat gated by other people, whether we could get together, whether we all practiced and were actually ready to record, or whatever it was. It just always felt like I wasn't really in control. So this new thing with YouTube just seemed like a breath of fresh air. I was improving the quality of my videos. I was learning a lot of things about video editing, about lighting, and it was all kind of coming together in my videos, and that felt really good. And since the focus of some of my videos, the restoration videos in particular, were all around an actual instrument that I was restoring, it was kind of like, well, I get to restore this instrument and enjoy it again, and I get a video to show for it, so it felt really rewarding. I was doing my astrophotography, I was doing collaborations with other musicians, and they really were all great experiences that I was more than happy to document and share with people. And in the collaborations, I was reconnecting with musicians and friends that I had worked with over the years in a live situation, but now in this kind of framework of a YouTube video, it was just a really cool experience as well. When I first started really putting the effort in, I set a goal for myself to reach 1,000 subscribers. I didn't know how long it would take, but I figured, hey, that's a nice round number, and if I could ever reach out to 1,000 people, that's pretty awesome. Now I'm actually at 1,100 people or so, and although it took like 6 years or something, it still feels really good to know that I've somehow convinced 1,000 people to click that subscribe button, and that potentially all those people are able to watch my content. At times, it almost seemed like YouTube was a miracle platform where I could reach out and connect with people in ways that were just never before possible. I was really excited about everything I was doing. Every time I finished a video, I just couldn't wait to get it out there and share it with people. Frustration began to set in pretty quickly as I learned that the algorithm is really the gatekeeper to views, to subscribers, and ultimately to the audience that I'm trying to reach. It's a real catch-22 because if your content is not in anybody's home feed, you're not going to get any views. And if you don't get any views, your content will never go into anybody's home feeds. It's like getting your first job. Well, what's your experience? Well, I don't have any experience. This is my first job. But if you let me, I could get some experience. Well, no, we're looking for someone with more experience. But it's even worse because YouTube doesn't know that you got your master's degree. It was also a bit frustrating to realize how much more gear-related videos would get views as compared to just straight up music. And that was fine for my gear-related videos. It was perfectly fine. And I understand that because YouTube has kind of become this resource, maybe the main resource for gear reviews. I know that's what I use more than anything. But then for my music videos, some of them were collaborations, and so it was about the collaboration, and I wasn't going to be talking about any gear, and that was fine. And then I would sometimes split the difference where I would do a music video, but I would sort of feature a particular piece of gear or pieces of gear and kind of try to draw in my views by highlighting the gear and then trick them into listening to my music, hoping that if they liked my music, they would check out my collaborations, that sort of thing. I definitely don't regret making any of those videos, but it's just another unnecessary layer of abstraction in my creative process that feels a bit contrived. Like I have to attach these brand names to my music videos in order for the algorithm to allow me some views. All the while, most of these brands have no idea I exist. There were some other kind of soul-crushing experiences where I would put so much time and effort and love into a video and it just wouldn't get that many views. Like, for example, my astrophotography videos. Some of them are like hundreds of hours of work over the course of a year put to music. And I would even say, ooh, the sounds come from the polybrute. And still, it was just, they wouldn't get views. Another one that comes to mind is the Amiga 500 restoration project I did. I was so excited because the videos, the whole thing, it just came out so great. I was so psyched to share it with people. And it went live and it kind of just, tanked. I was so crushed by that. I was just like, there's got to be something I can do for people to see this because I think the right people would really love this. So I think someone gave me the idea to message Hackaday, and that's what I did. I think I emailed them and I said, hey, I did this project on my Amiga 500 and I don't know, maybe check it out. And sure enough, they featured it. I was in an article, and so then I got a few thousand views maybe. But I think it was just this feeling I had where quality and effort, it didn't really matter in the eyes of the algorithm. I felt this insurmountable gap between me and the potential audience that might appreciate my work. I felt like I had very little control over the growth of my channel, given the fact that I couldn't put in that full-time effort like the big guys were doing. I also had a realization that my videos might not be as good as I think they are. I mean, I like them, but they're my babies. I'm biased, and it's really difficult to be objective about this sort of thing. Although I do look back on many of the videos and realize how much of a dork I am on camera, and I'm working on it. The past 6 years of this YouTube channel, with all the frustrations and self-doubt, have really caused me to question my thought process about what really matters. So where does that leave us, small-time creators? Well, I think we need a framework that will help guide us in a healthy and sustainable way. So here are 5 things that I really think could be helpful. So number 1, if we're not full-time on YouTube yet and we don't depend on it to earn a living, then I think it's imperative to prioritize the inspiration, the joy, the excitement that we feel about doing whatever it is that we're driven to do, because that's what's going to connect with the audience that we're trying to reach. Now, this can be a tricky thing to navigate because you have to really be honest with yourself. Am I having fun doing this particular thing, or am I really going after that dopamine hit of more views and likes after the fact? And I've certainly been guilty of that, but maybe fun isn't the right word either, because really a lot of what we're doing is just hard work. We have a particular goal in mind and we're just going after it. But the point is that we're willing to put in that work because we're super excited about what the end result will be, not necessarily about how many new subscribers we might get. So this brings me to my second point, that validation is really where we need to set the boundaries. And it's definitely the toughest one because we all really crave that recognition that we did a good job. YouTube and social media platforms in general know this better than most. And so they have found ways to tell you through metrics, every possible way that your content is being consumed and what the feedback is. But the thing is that they're the ones that are controlling who sees your content. I think we need to let go as much as possible this notion that some external validation or some particular metric is the true measure of quality of your work. Otherwise, it can be a slippery slope. Like when I first started, I was getting 20 or 30 views on a video and I was thrilled. Maybe a comment here or there. And then as time went on, I felt like I needed more views and more comments to feel as if I had done as good of a job. When in reality, I ended up judging myself pretty unfairly and not really being kind to myself. But now I'm really only paying attention to certain metrics through a particular lens, which I'll talk about. So overall, I feel like I just have a better mindset about this whole thing. The third point is really like the flip side of external validation. It's the internal validation I think we should instead focus on. By that, I mean every video or project we finish is an accomplishment that's worth recognizing. It's something we can be proud of. It's something that can speak for itself. I know for me, every song, every solo, every collaboration or restoration, it's like money in the bank. It's an experience I can draw upon in the future. It helps me with my craft. Every video you upload is only ever going to accrue views in the future. So let's say someone happens upon your channel and they become a true fan. They'll be able to find their way to that video and they'll probably be pretty psyched, even if it is years later. Speaking of which, I was at a family gathering, I think it was last year, where someone came up to me and said they found my mini Korg video because they searched for Michael Lunn on Google. And because I featured Michael in my video so extensively, it came up and he had no idea I had done that project or dug into the family history, and he really appreciated it. So I think our accomplishments will pay dividends in the long haul. And the last thing that comes to mind is a thought I had a few years ago when I finished the Amiga restoration video, where I imagined going back in time and talking to the 12-year-old version of me and showing him all the cool stuff that I was working on. I'd imagine playing him some of my songs and just thinking he'd be so psyched, because when I was 12 years old, that's all I wanted to do was to make music, work on technology and electronics. And so I think that's a better thing to think about than how many views did that video get or that sort of thing. Okay, the fourth point is that I think we should focus more on the true connections when they happen. And I think there are some metrics that are better indicators to that. For example, rather than the percentage viewed, what I'd like to look at in audience retention is the shape of that curve. What I like to see is it flatten out. maybe it only hits 15% or 30%. But if it hits 30% and it's flat, it means that 1 out of 3 people really liked that video. They watched it to the end. Either that or they fell asleep on the couch. But mostly, I think it's a good indication that you got someone's attention and held their attention. And that initial drop-off, it means that those particular people that watched it, they didn't like it, or YouTube didn't find the right audience. But seriously, it's all just information. The other thing I sometimes look at is the subscriber count on how many subscribers did a video accumulate, and that is another way that I can tell that a particular thing resonated or not. And all this is really, it's just information that I may factor into what I do or not. I mean, the bottom line is I'm not going to do anything that I don't feel passionate about. It's just sometimes it can help me to make my videos better, I guess. And then the last thing, of course, are the comments. I get a lot out of reading comments, especially when someone takes the time to write something heartfelt and thoughtful, and I really do appreciate those, and it lets me know that I've actually reached another human being. So I think overall those are the things I like to pay attention to. Point number 5, my last bit of advice is to try and remove barriers from doing the creative things you enjoy. This doesn't necessarily have anything to do with YouTube itself, but it can be an effective way to give you back a feeling of agency on a platform that you have really no control over whatsoever. It's all about eliminating those excuses that might prevent you from working on that song, that video, that project. Obstacles could include issues with your workflow, broken gear, software problems, logistics, time management, you name it. For example, I've made a concerted effort over the years to go through and fix all of my broken gear and to make sure it's set up, it's plugged in, and it's ready to go, because I know myself too well. If it's sitting in the corner and it's not hooked up, I'm going to be too lazy to go get a stand and put it on the stand and hook up the cables. So I've really gone out of my way to make this studio a nice place to be in, and to work. Ironically, YouTube itself can be an obstacle to getting anything done, because it's really easy to fall into that trap of wanting that new gear and thinking that that's going to be the answer to your problems. And not that it wouldn't help, but the way I like to think about it is my brain only has so many cycles available per day. I only have so much bandwidth. So I really want to prioritize what I'm spending those cycles on. And if I'm trying to finish a song or a video, chances are that's probably where my time is best spent. I think deeper down, this gets to the core of self-esteem, perhaps. Believing in yourself, believing that you have a unique voice and something to say. Clearing a path to our goal can actually seem scary, because then all the excuses are gone and it's just you and the goal, and it's just the hard work that you have to put in between. I can't tell you how many times I've started a song and come to a difficult part, a solo or some part that I couldn't get quickly, and thought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this. Then I'd come back the next day and I'd try again. Eventually I'd get it, because deep down I still had that feeling of the end result that I was excited about, that was driving me towards that goal. So paradoxically, trying to remove barriers and make your life easier can actually be a test of your self-esteem and cause you to question what it is you thought you were trying to do. In my experience, whether I tried and failed at something, whether I realized that the thing that I was trying to do was not really what I wanted to do, it's all been extremely useful and I don't regret taking this approach at all. So that's it. My attempt at trying to make the best of a non-ideal situation and to let you know that you're not alone in wanting to make and share your art on a platform like YouTube that doesn't really favor the little guys. The good thing about being small is that I can and do read all the comments. So if this resonates with you or you have some good advice that I missed, please feel free to comment. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.